as much as Thailand wants to reopen, we've heard from the WHO warning against opening too soon. How do you balance Thailand needing to reopen to visitors while assuring that everything is still, well, the risks are put at bay?
I think Thailand has done very well in containing the spread of the pandemic, and we are ready. Hotels are absolutely ready to welcome tourists. At the moment, our tourists are staying in ASQ and alternative local quarantine hotels in key tourist destinations, and the restrictions are heavy. And we can assure you that we can assure Thais that visitors coming in will not, will be carefully monitored. We've been, not being able to welcome tourists for over a year now. We are urgently requesting and the government to reduce the lockdown days from 14 to 10, then to 7. And yesterday's news of welcoming tourists who have been vaccinated to quarantine for 7 days. That's incredibly good news. And what we can do to prevent the spread, even from vaccinated tourists, is to have them screened and tracked while they're in Thailand, and to have maybe contained in an area where most of the residents and hotel workers have been vaccinated. So one of the proposals from the tourism ministry is that vaccines be inoculated for tourism workers. And if you can do that in an area, then those tourists can come to an area such as an island or Phuket, for example, and then remain there for a period of time before, traveling onwards to the rest of the country.
Yes, let's talk about that immunity passports which Thailand wants to issue. I mean, how soon, how widespread, what can we expect?
At the moment, very few Thais have been vaccinated. The majority of the vaccines will arrive in May. So right now, the Thais who have been vaccinated have been requested to get a certificate. They will get a certificate, then they can go and get a vaccine passport. The certificate is, verification that they have been vaccinated by certified vaccines. I think what Thailand has to do now is certify the vaccines that are not imported into Thailand, the other brands of vaccines. And for countries to talk to each other and recognize each other's certificates and vaccine passports. I think that would be the way to go. If there's an international body to control these processes, that would be helpful, but I don't hear that anyone's doing that at the moment. So in Thailand, we have a vaccine certificate and a vaccine passport, which will help Thais travel abroad. But in terms of welcoming tourists in, recognizing other countries' passports, I think that might require more work.
Marisa, it's going to require a bilateral approach here because, I mean, okay, you may well get evidence that somebody's been vaccinated and you'd let them into Thailand. The trouble is they have to go back to their own country and they could be having quarantine restrictions there. So what's the point of going on holiday then ultimately? People need to travel, need to let go, I think. And Thailand's such a, incredible destination with beautiful people and beautiful beaches. I think people, don't mind. I think people who love Thailand will come back. And then I think we have to pick countries that have been vaccinated as well and don't have the heavy restrictions, such as, right now, I think Israel is one of them. Soon to be will be maybe countries in Asia, mostly. China is questionable because China is not allowed their citizens or tourists to travel as tourists outside. So that will take some time. We know that there's demand from Russia and Scandinavia, heavy demand from Russia, Scandinavia, and European countries for travelers to come back to Thailand. Yes. Marisa, give us a sense of how bad the industry's been hit in Thailand and how much of that has kind of been, I suppose, lessened by domestic tourism.
Domestic tourism makes up only 1/3 of the overall tourism revenue. So it's helpful, and a lot of hotels in Thailand are dependent on domestic, have been marketed to domestic market and rely on government meetings and things like that. But most hotels are in the key tourist destinations such as Phuket, Samui, Phang Krabi, even Chiang Mai and Pattaya. So in those areas, hotels have been hit hard. In Phuket and Samui, for example, over 80% hotels still remain closed. Some haven't opened most haven't opened since the first lockdown last year. So tourism has been hit hard, and the hardest hit are the people, tourism workers. We estimate that at present, 50% of tourism workers have lost their jobs temporarily, and hopefully by the beginning of next year, when there is absolutely no quarantine, people will come back to work.
Marisa, what kind of measures are you hoping to see from the government to help the industry?
Right now, the government has helped, has sort of taken a blanket approach and helped, because the value chain, the supply chain of tourism is so huge. It's so many people are affected. So they have been giving out cash assistance to people in the social security system, things like that. We have put in a request for the government to help subsidize tourism and hotel workers' salaries. But now they've taken an approach to help everyone, and we have also spoken with the Bank of Thailand to help with soft loans and asset warehousing, which will help operators reduce the debt burden and for a period of time, or to have a grace period on paying back the principal and interests for a period of time, and then have the hotels, buy back the hotels later on. Right now, our key proposal is to reduce quarantine time. The news that it will be reduced to 7 days for inoculated tourists. That's great news. That's a great step forward for Thailand, a huge step forward, and also for tourism workers to be vaccinated, so that in key areas, so that we can welcome tourists who are not, who have been vaccinated, and just to be able to increase the amount of tourists coming in, that would help greatly.